Hey everyone, Jake here for American Trucks, and in this video we're taking a look at the Fox Factory Race Series 2.0 ATS steering stabilizer fitting 2017 and newer four-wheel drive F250 and F350 Super Duties. Whether you're going off-road or even if you just aren't a fan of the stock steering feedback in your Super Duty, a steering stabilizer like this one can make a huge difference. This one in particular from Fox Racing offers some clever technology that's going to help improve your steering performance with a quick bolt-on solution. Now let's get something out of the way right off the bat here. If your truck's suspension and steering aren't set up right, if you've got a death wobble going on or something else wrong in the front end, this is not going to be the fix. However, if you've got everything set up the way you want it and you're still looking to improve steering performance overall, it doesn't get much better than this. Want to throw a quick note in on fitment before we get too deep in here. If you are using this on a truck that has been lifted 1.5 inches or more, you will need to make sure that you have a drop bracket in order to get this stabilizer fitted properly. Now with a conventional steering stabilizer, steering in one direction naturally creates additional pressure, since the fluid has to pass by the piston and there's limited space that it can go in. This is, after all, basically just a shock absorber. Typically the solution would be dual stabilizers, but that requires other modifications, more space, and it just adds complexity. The ATS steering stabilizer here provides a solution that only requires you to bolt this right on and nothing else. This takes the principle of a remote reservoir shock and applies it to your steering rack with this additional little reservoir right here. This provides another avenue for fluid and gas to move, so you don't get that same pushback or extra pushing force you'd get otherwise. It also separates the shock oil from the high pressure nitrogen inside, so there's no issues with cavitation or bubbling in the fluid. That means you're going to get buttery smooth response without any bump steer or other pushback. It just creates a very smooth feeling to your steering and makes things much more predictable and stable out on either the street or the trail. And also similarly to what you'd find on a shock absorber where the damping is adjustable, you've got 24 different settings so you can dial this in exactly the way you want it. And since that adjustment is accessible, it's easy to dial in exactly how much damping you want as you encounter different situations on the street or trail. You've also got a little Schrader valve right on here if you need to add some nitrogen or anything to this to really beef this sucker up. So there's a lot of adjustment here, which is a nice thing to see, not something we find on most other steering stabilizers. There's also a lot that lies underneath the skin here. Both the body here and the mounts are constructed from 6061 T6 billet aluminum. The body features this nice clear anodized finish. The mount is anodized in black. Now the body of this thing is also a huge 2-inch diameter with a 5/8 inch hardened chrome-plated heat-treated alloy steel shaft, meeting a high flow piston on the inside. The external reservoir here also has its own internal floating piston. There's redundant seals including wiper and scraper seals inside to help keep everything separated the way it was intended. You also get new nitrile rubber bushings outside to dampen the vibration and allow for a little extra articulation. Now as the saying goes, you get what you pay for. And at about $550, this is pretty much the top of the category when it comes to price, but it's also the top of the category when it comes to performance. Fox Racing stuff is often the choice of manufacturers when it comes to shocks or other steering components on their factory hot rod type of trucks. So you know that they're making good stuff, and this is definitely not an exception. Yes, you are paying a lot of money, but if you want that performance and you want that adjustability, if you're seriously using your truck, this is really going to be worth the price. Back to good news though, installation is going to get an easy 1 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and the job should only take you about 1 hour to complete. This is a pretty simple bolt-on process, so you don't need to make any other modifications. Just remove your stock stabilizer, bolt this guy right in its place. And to show you what that process looks like, let's head on out to the shop.
For this install, you will need an impact, a ratchet, an extension, 15mm swivel socket, 18 and 19mm sockets, a ball joint removal tool, a hammer, 3/16 and 1/4 inch Allen wrenches. What's up guys, today we're going to be doing a steering stabilizer on our F250, so let's get started. So we've got our truck on the lift. You don't necessarily need it on the lift, it's just much easier to show you guys. We need to remove the factory stabilizer first. So it's held on by a 15mm bolt on the chassis side and an 18mm nut on the steering shaft. So we'll grab our 15mm swivel socket and remove our mounting bolt. Next, we'll grab our 18mm socket on our impact and remove our mounting nut. Now, sometimes these things tend to get stuck in their seat, so we've got a hammer. We're just going to tap it and see if that'll get it to come out. So since ours is pretty stuck, we're gonna grab a claw style ball joint removal tool, hook that onto our steering shaft, get this run up onto the mounting bolt, stud rather. Get that secure on there. Then we can grab a 16mm socket, carefully push this out. Be careful when they come out. All right, so now that we have our factory stabilizer off, we can begin installing our new one, and we're gonna start off with our provided 19mm bolt and flat washer, get it mounted to the chassis side first, then we'll get it mounted to our steering section. So now we'll get our stabilizer in place with our bolt, send that through our spacer on our chassis mount side, go into the factory mounting location, get this hand tight as far as we can go. That's on there, that'll hold it. Then we'll grab our 19mm socket on our ratchet, tighten this down. Next, we're gonna need to mount to our steering shaft side. So this mount does pivot. There is an Allen head bolt here for our pinch bolt that we may need to loosen to turn our mount. So we've got a 3/16 Allen wrench. We're gonna loosen up that. Allow that to pivot that way. We want to just get it straight for now, and then we'll tighten this back down. So now we'll also need to pivot our mounting block. So we have our stabilizer all the way extended so that our rod is clearing our mounting bolt. We've got a 1/4" Allen wrench. You can put that right in there. Kind of help you turn that. We'll line this up. Now you will need to push this back in, and you want this to be about midway on your shaft, and you want your wheels to be straight when doing this so that you have enough travel when steering in both directions. That's gonna line up very well. That's about halfway. So now we can get the back side of our mounting block on. So now we've got our front side of our mounting block on our steering shaft, and we'll mount our other half. Grab our provided 3/16 Allen bolts. Goes through. Once you line one up, that should start holding it in place. Put one in up top as well. Get the other two in. Now that we've got those in, we'll grab our 3/16 Allen wrench. Get these tightened down. This is kind of a tight space if you're using a traditional Allen wrench or T-handle. As far in as we can by hand. Continue to tighten all these down until they're all tight. Now you do want to tighten these in a crisscross pattern so that your block pinches evenly. Now once you have everything tightened down, you want to double check your steering and make sure you have full travel in both directions to make sure you have this centered correctly.
That's going to wrap it up here for our review and install of the Fox Factory Race Series 2.0 ATS steering stabilizer, fitting 2017 and newer four-wheel drive F250 and F350 Super Duties. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, for all things Super Duty, be sure to keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.